everybody, and welcome to Randi Sands and the mediumship crew. Hey, Jack, you want to do your job?
Hello, good happy people.
Jack's misbehaving as usual. So tonight we are going to talk about a topic that has really hit home with me this week, which is happiness. And what is happiness and how do we go about it? So I've had a week where I've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to people that have said, well, I'll love it when COVID is over. I can be happy again. I can go about my business. Another person said, when I meet that special someone, I'll just be so happy. When I get that good job, I'll just be so happy. And then I'm talking to people in areas, wishing them blessings, like Texas, that are going through so much, that are happy even in the face of natural disasters. They're happy. And I had a day this week where I had to remember that happiness is a choice. No matter what's going on around us, we can still choose happiness. So with that said, I want to open up the floor because I know that with the people that are here, this is going to be a good conversation. So Jack, you want to say anything?
I choose to be happy.
Oh my God. We need to give Jack a pill or something. Okay, the floor is open.
I took one earlier.
It may not have been strong enough. The floor is open.
Okay, I'll talk. So when people said that you have to choose happiness, to me, when I was not really happy, I would look at them like they have had 6 heads. What do you mean I just choose to be happy? And then something clicked in my brain several years ago, and it had to tie with gratitude. The minute I started showing gratitude for everything, I just genuinely felt happier. And that as you build a practice of gratitude, the happiness follows.
I agree. And gratitude lists are phenomenal in my mind. Another thing that, and I was like you, people would say that to me and I'd look at them like they were a cyclops, and had 15 roving eyeballs around their head, all blinking at the same time. And I just didn't understand how you could choose to be happy. And then one day what occurred to me, if I changed the way I looked at things, and if I could find a way to associate more pain with being unhappy than with being happy, it became very easy to be happy. So for me, that kind of worked. Anyone else?
I think it's a state of mind, and you can be wrapped up in your unhappiness, and it takes acknowledging it in order to move out of it, so that maybe you can surround yourself with the things that you like to do. Or I always like to reference the fact that the brain can only think of one thing at a time, that it can't think of more than one thing at a time. So if you focus it on something that you enjoy, and you just keep doing that every time you feel like you're getting a little bit low, finding something that brings joy, even if it's music or dancing around or whatever it is, you can change that mindset. And like you said about the gratitude, the more you do it, the more that you're aware when you are sad or not feeling so happy, the better off that you'll be by just finding something that brings joy to your life.
I don't think Randy's brain works that way.
I was just about to say, whoever is responsible for sending out the memo on your brain can only think one thing at a time needs to be fired.
No, I don't think so.
My brain didn't get the memo.
Okay, try and talk and follow one subject and then try and think about something else. You can't. Your mind will switch over. So the mind can only think of one thing at a time.
You're probably right, but I don't know. Mine's pretty challenging in that area. Look at Stacy's laughing.
It can go from thing to thing, but as long as you keep it focused on one thing, it can't switch unless you allow it to.
Yeah, I think mine's like a pinball machine. Stacy, I know you're itching. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not itching. I'm thinking. I'm being wrapped up in this thought process. Of course, from a spiritualist aspect, this is one of our founding principles, is that we, choose our happiness or unhappiness, more because of how we follow natural law, right? So listening to Colleen, she starts off right away with gratitude. It's almost like saying happiness is like a muscle in your body. You can't necessarily isolate it because it works with all these other muscles, like gratitude, like joy, like Tammy just said. It is kind of like, I don't know if you can just isolate. We could have like a false happy, right? Like we'd all be happy right now if Ed McMahon showed up at our door and gave us all a check for $1 million, right? And for some of us, that $1 million would sustain us and be happy for the rest of our lives. For some of us, we'd probably,
By the way,
complain about 10 years later, like we're broke, that could be a quick happiness, right? Like I get happy when I eat tacos on Tuesday, but it's not the genuine happiness that, like the genuine vibration or the genuine vibration that we want to be. Like, those people in Texas who are going through that, when you practice happiness as more of a way of life than an emotion to have, it becomes that no matter what situation you find yourself in, you're always going to lean into the gratitude, to the compassion, to the joy, to the, the understanding, the empathy that's going to always leave you in a state of, for the most part, a happy vibration. Now, for the most part, because let's face it, we're all human and certain things are going to trigger us to kind of fall off that happy vibration train once in a while, but to get back on it, and I think that's really what it is. And it's not easy to be happy. See, I think everybody thinks that there's this false, it's easy to feel love. It's easy to find joy. It's easy to find happiness. No, it's not. You have to work at it. Every single day you have to work at it, and then I think the more we work at it, the easier it gets. It's like riding a bike, right? Like the first few times we had to have somebody hold on to us. We had to have training wheels, now I haven't ridden a bike in years, but I feel like back on. I might be a little wobbly at first, but you should be able to get back into that pattern again.
Who wants to see that? I do.
No, there will be no, look at it. Buy me a tricycle or I want an adult big wheel. Did you see that they make the adult big wheels? That's what I want. That's what, if you're going to see them on any bike, it's going to be an adult size big wheel.
And then she'll be happy.
the Harley trike.
There we go. Yeah, so my mind is just thinking now because Colleen started it. It would be interesting to see what everybody else adds to it. Colleen started it with gratitude. There's an immense vibration of gratitude that helps stabilize or helps create happiness. Tammy said joy, right? Even though joy is not the same as being happy, so it's different frequency. It'd be interesting to see what everybody else says. Like what thing do you bring in to reach that state of happiness?
Well, isn't the point is that in any given moment, you're going to bring in what you need to raise your vibration. Like if you're starting to, if something goes wrong, I stubbed my toe, ow, 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 but then just getting up to dance because my toe is starting to feel better. You do what you need to do in the moment to start raising the vibration, and it's all part of happiness. Yeah. I mean, it's not just like segmented into this kind. It is a vibration of joy, gratitude. It's all those things.
You just said it, healing. Healing is
Right.
a way to bring happiness, right? You stub your toe, ow, and then all of a sudden you switch into, some sort of frequency of healing.
Right.
You're right.
And the choice is, though, I could sit there and just like really focus on the pain and the anguish and how dumb am I? I could focus on all those negative things. But if I make that choice to say, okay, that was, that was what it was, but maybe, some music comes on, it's like, no, I'm going to get up and dance. And it all feeds into like fixing the toe from the pain, takes your mind off it because you can only do the one thing at one time. So instead of focusing on the pain, I change my focus, raise my vibration, and it becomes, like a cycle, no matter how you go about it.
Yeah.
But it is a choice in many ways. And it, it's sometimes biochemical, you're depressed, whatever is things going on, it's a harder choice. But, if you do the small things over and over to keep raising the vibration, to do the dance, to smile at someone that you see, even though you don't kind of really feel like it, all of those things go into making yourself feel happy and, and just good inside, I guess, it because of the vibration, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot about it. Yeah.
Dawn, did you have your hand up, hon?
You picked another subject that I actually did a paper on. I think most people look for the big happiness, like winning $1 million or winning a new car, instead of seeing the smaller happiness that's in life every single day, a bird flying or a nice warm breeze on your face or the smell of the ocean. And I think if people would start looking for the smaller instead of the big, then happiness would be more in everyday life. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
It's about staying present in the moment and feeling it at that moment. And that again can be a choice which way you go with it.
Well, I think it's also that people tend to think that they have to wait for this circumstance or this event, and that it's outside forces that bring happiness versus internal.
Right.
And I will tell you, one thing that really helped me when I was first getting started is I had a relative that one time turned to me and said, when you're born, you're allotted so many good times in your lifetime. And if you forfeit one, it's going to go to some jerk you don't even know. And boy, that jealousy of giving up my good time. Oh, nuh-uh, we can't do that. Can't have that going on. And that really helped me in the beginning. Yes, Tim.
I found that some people don't appreciate when you're happy. I had a roommate back in the early 80s or 70s, this girl that I used to live with. And one Saturday morning, she got up and she looked at me and she says, "Do you have to be so freaking happy in the morning?" She's one of those people that just woke up and it took her a while to get synchronized and stuff like that. And I'd be running around smiling and asking her all these questions. And yeah, she just couldn't handle it.
Well, and
so not everybody likes happiness around them.
I was about to say there's a lot of people that don't, because if you're miserable, you certainly don't want to see somebody that's, Tinkerbell happy running around.
Right.
And I think that also dictates how we choose our people.
I tend to be the village idiot because, like sometimes like if there's like people around that are really feeling negative, because I'm really good at negative. I mean, I'll out myself on that right here, but.
Can we change that negative self-talk?
Well, yeah, idiot? No, I mean, because that's what I do. Like if other people are not feeling well or just kind of grumpy, I mean, I love to be the kind of the fool to make them happy, to make them smile, just smile at them and do the like Forrest Gump kind of thing. Because sometimes that's all they need is just to see somebody else being a goof, and it can change them. It can change the person that's doing it too. I mean, like, because when I do that, I actually feel better. Like, just to be high, silly. Again, just help somebody out and yourself.
I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of that myself.
It's
I
not
like
guilty.
to make
It's
others
good.
feel happy.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Where I think it's interesting is when you have people who are not happy and they are jealous of what you have, that they've forgotten that everybody gets their own thing in their own time. And sometimes it's really good to clap for somebody else doing really well. And when you can be happy for somebody else experiencing greatness or doing things that excite you and be excited for them, and you find that happiness for someone else, that it becomes easier and easier and easier for you to be just genuinely happy all the time.
And, I'm sitting here and we have somebody in that, well, we have a couple somebodies that are sitting with backgrounds that are absolutely gorgeous, that are nature backgrounds. And, getting out in nature always helps too. Being grounded, getting your feet on the dirt and, being at one with nature, because that's kind of how, in my mind, we were meant to be. And for me, when I'm out in nature, I become more peaceful and the negativity just of human experience just kind of falls away. And I think that a big part of being happy is being able to shed the negativity of the human experience that comes at us from different directions. It's being able to look at it, acknowledge it, and then just like kind of let it fall away. And that, in my mind, is what takes a lot of the practice.
Well, and like I said, it's like work, if you have been in a state of uncertainty, depression, whatever, anger, jealousy, whatever it is, like if you have been, vibrating at a lower rate for a while, right? It's like going to the gym. Like, oh, I don't want to go. You start going and you go on and off, and then you don't go back, and then you go back. It's you have to form a habit. You have to make it a priority to bring happiness to your life, because so many people just expect others to bring it for them when it's not. It is a inside job. No one can do it for you. No partner, no house, no job, no nothing. None of the material things are truly going to make your soul sing without doing the inside work first, and who just brought up Dawn was spot on. Like, Dawn is spot on, and Lynn with being present in the moment, Dawn appreciating the small things add up to big things. Those people who just always seem to get things like, oh my gosh, their life, I want their life. Like, how do they get that? How do they do that? Purely because they're living in the harmony probably of the highest vibration of gratitude, love, happiness, joy, all of that, because it's not like they're chasing anything. Instead, they just stand there and they become a magnet for everything.
Yes, Jen.
In all of that, I think what Stacy and Dawn and Lynn, all of them are talking about, all the religious traditions, whether it's spiritualism or Buddhism or anybody, that's why there's such a big stress on meditation and contemplation, because that's where you pull all of this together inside and come into attunement with spirit, whatever name you call spirit by, it doesn't matter. It still brings that attunement into your life. And the more you are at peace with yourself and happy with the present moment that you're living, then that feeds right into the law of attraction. And that's how all those things come to you, that then what people look at and go, oh, they must be so happy. But that it's a lot of hard work that you've put in to gain that happiness.
I'll buy that for $2. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think. Hold on, just I'm trying to get. Okay, there we go. I think that when from the time we're young, we kind of have been trained to look at that negative part of our life. Well, I don't have this, or I want that, or I want this doll, or I want this, and you get older, and you've been trained, and so you continue to go down the negative path. If you look at people and you listen to what they're talking about, most of the time they're always talking about their problems. This person did this person did that. They're angry because of this. They don't talk about the joy or the happiness, but we're focused on the negativity. And I think it's a training, and I think you get entrenched in that training. And I think that if you've ever found yourself in love with somebody for the very beginning, and how beautiful and wonderful you feel, and that joy that you feel when you meet somebody, that's because you're in somebody's presence that allows you and that beautiful joy that you have inside to come out. And if we can take that joy that we have inside ourselves and foster it and live with that every day, whether we're in the presence with somebody that we love, somebody that we hate, somebody that we dislike, somebody in any situation, but if we can keep that joy, that inner, that beauty that we have inside, I think that is a way to look at how you could say, I'm going to be happy, because it's within me.
As you were talking, you said something that just really struck me, which is people talk more about the negative aspects than the positive. And I think that's because, when you're happy, how much is there to say? Oh, I'm happy. I'm so happy. I'm happy. Does anybody else hear that echo?
Yes, is it me?
It's rather annoying. Well, let me practice being happy right now.
You don't have to turn the sound on or off on here. You can just use my.
I think if Alka just mutes herself for a minute.
I did. I'm on Jen's.
Turn off yours.
I did.
It doesn't show on here.
No, you're not. You're not muting.
There she goes. There he is.
Okay. So when we're in a negative moment, we have so much to say. But what do you really say when you're happy? Oh, I'm happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. It's that gets annoying too.
I don't know that you need to say I'm so happy all the time as much as you just stay in that joyful state. You don't have to be bubbling all over the place, but that's an internal thing that people, like when you walk into a room and people feel your presence, whether you're happy, whether you're sad. Have you ever walked into a room and you think, oh my God, there's a fight going on. You can feel it. The tension is so bad. But you can also feel joy in a person. And sometimes if you radiate that, you don't have to say anything. But if you have that presence of joy inside, people feel it. And it makes them feel better to be around you, even though,
Can you talk louder?
I think they have two devices in the same room and they're echoing off of each other. So
let me turn off.
There
we go. Okay.
That's amazing. You just went from the woods to the Chicago Bears locker room. Boom.
I said sometimes you don't have to be bubbling over with joy and showing it off. What you do is that joy that's inside of you. People feel it. Have you ever walked into a room and people are angry and you can feel that tension? You think, oh my God, what did I just walk into? Well, the same way with inner joy. And if you hold that inner joy, have you ever found people that you just drawn to because of the way they are, that magnetic pull, because it lifts you up? And if you can, that's that joy inside. That's that peace and happiness inside. You don't have to be bubbling over like you think, to be outrageous. But if you hold that peace and that loving kindness inside of you, I think it speaks for itself.
Oh, I agree 100%. What the point I was making is when you're in conversation with people,
Yeah.
when you're happy, I've found that you don't have as much to talk about as when you're unhappy.
No, but you know what, Randy? That's when you become the listener and hold space for those who aren't happy.
Right.
So like what Jen is saying, I get it. Like it's that space, because people are going to come to you with their problems. They're going to be like, I don't know why I just told you my entire life history, because you know why? You're happy. You don't need to say anything. You don't have to say, oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. They, like Elka's saying, they feel it. So you create that sacred space, that energy for them.
It's
so
definitely a vibration, right?
Yeah,
it is.
And they feel safe. You're somebody that they feel safe, comfortable and safe to do that with, which, I mean, that's an honor and a privilege in itself, in my mind, that somebody feels that safe.
And they say the higher you go, the less friends you have. The higher you climb the mountain, not very many people go up with you, but you still interact with everybody, no matter where they are in their life. But you have to hold your presence up to where you are, and you just hold that space for them. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's not the most pleasurable learning experience. That takes a little getting used to.
Well, like she said, when you walk into a room and you feel a negative energy or the vibration is negative, don't you just want to turn around and run out? I mean, in most cases, don't you just want to like turn around and leave? But in most cases, you can't, because you're there for a certain reason, right? So the thing is just to be as your normal self at that higher vibration. And I think you find that some of those people rise and some of them don't. So you're not sitting in that negative energy for all that long.
You're a better person than I am, because I just leave. I do. If I can't tolerate the energy, I do. I find a reason to leave.
Can I read what Tiffany wrote?
But yes, I was just going to ask somebody to please read that, because my thing is too far away for me to read all that.
Tiffany said, for me, the most rewarding and loving things in the world, parenthood is supposed to be happiness all the time. Just like SSK said, it's something that has to be worked on all the time. There are always moments where you're frustrated, or to the other end where you're so filled with happiness and joy. It's not big things that make you happy. It's the smallest things that fills your heart and brings you the most happiness in the world. The smallest smile, the laughter that fills the room, a random hug or kiss out of nowhere, are the biggest gestures that don't even know changes come the worst moods into the pure and complete happiness. No matter how big or unhappy moments you have, the happy ones always stand out more. And at night while laying, sorry, I lost my spot. At night while laying in bed, trying to sleep, going over the day in your head, the happy moments are the moments that stand out the most. She has the kids with me and she had to type it.
I catch myself, and this is fairly new for me. I find myself lately throughout the day just catching myself going, I just took a deep breath and I'm here, I'm alive, I'm in my learning ground, my spiritual learning ground, and I'm happy to be there. And that's something that's been coming in the last year, where I literally throughout the day will have different points where that'll just come to me.
I'm glad you said that, Randy, because there's times that I caught myself, a lot of times, matter of fact, last year, I'd just be out there working in the garden, digging in the dirt, but all of a sudden I'd realize that I'm smiling, that my body is actually reacting where my mind isn't thinking about smiling, but all of a sudden I realize that I'm smiling while I'm working. So, it is just a way that my body is responding to what makes it happy without my brain saying, oh, smile because you're happy. It just did it on its own. So that's
Well, let me
pretty
tell you,
cool.
when it first started, because it was out of the ordinary, I was like, okay, I'm happy. I'm just took a big breath. I'm living. I'm in my spiritual learning ground. Does this mean I'm getting ready to graduate? It took me a little bit to get accustomed to that.
So as you're talking and as everyone's just kind of, I'm listening and I'm processing, I love it. My brain is overactive and I'm loving it right this minute. But the other thing too is we tend to be fixers. So we can't be happy if we're always looking for a problem, even if it's our problem or if it's somebody else's problem. This is that balance between the law of service, being there for being there for humanity in a way. But then if we're always looking to solve a problem, that's not going to allow us necessarily to enter into that state of happiness. Like if you think about it, going back to how we were talking about just listening, right? Like when you're happy, you don't have to sit there and say, I'm so happy, I'm so happy, I'm so happy, I'm so happy. You just kind of maintain this vibration and people bring it to you. But I wonder if, this is just hypothetical, instead of giving somebody the answer, just listen to them. That's probably how you stay in your vibration of happiness. Because if you try to fix their problems, are you entailing, do you see what I'm trying to say here? Is that anybody understanding what I'm trying to say?
I do, and I agree 100%.
Ministry of presence.
That's what psychiatrists do.
Well, and I agree with it 100% because that's a lesson that I'm not going to say I've learned, because I'm probably still in the process. And that's a very new one for me, because I love to fix everybody's problems. I want to see everybody happy. I want to see the best for everybody. So I always felt that the best way to do that was to fix their problems. But, it's like recently I learned to try to shut my mouth as much as I can and let people figure it out, because I realized that in my doing that, I was also taking away their free will, and I was running interference to them learning their life lessons. And, that's not fair. I'm sure it becomes annoying to other people if I'm always trying to fix their problems, because I'm trying to tell them to do something that maybe they don't want to do. And then of course I get frustrated. Then of course I'm miserable. And then everybody's miserable.
Well, and and especially with what Tiffany wrote, because she's right, for those of us who are parents, there is this, yes, parents, I remember, like, I'll never forget, and I'm going to digress, everyone's going to laugh for a minute. My kids are almost 2 years apart, right? Just to hit May 27th or May 20th, May 17th, 2005, 2007. And I remember, I think my son probably was 4, 5, my daughter was 3. I walked into my friend's house and I just put my daughter down in her carrier. And I said to my son, watch your sister, mommy has to have a glass of wine. Like I couldn't handle, I just, you get to that point. My friend just looked at me. He has no kids. You know what I mean? He has no kids. And he's like, you really want me to open a bottle of wine? I said, yeah. And I'll probably leave these two here. Like, because I just, but because parenthood isn't, and everyone thinks it's supposed to be, oh my gosh, it's so joyous to be a parent. Oh my gosh, I'm joining the PTA. I have never been a PTA mother in my entire life. I have had to work at growing into motherhood. And my kids are almost teenagers out of the house, and I still haven't grown into it yet completely, so I think what Tiffany said, that's like a really good, it's a really good point. Like you two, we're all in this growth process, it doesn't come necessarily as easy as we want it to, so we have to be kind to ourselves too. Like, why can't I be happy? Because some of us have those days. Like, okay, I'm spiritual. Yeah, I'm so glad I woke up. I'm glad I have a roof over my head. I'm glad I can eat. Why can't I get to that point? Why can't I be happy and grateful for what I have? And then these exercises that you're hearing people say, like, Elka, tap into that joy, that center that's within. Tammy, let's turn on music and dance, or get out and you said nature, Colleen says gratitude. Those are all the little steps that we have to use on those days that we just want to open a bottle of wine and ditch our kids at other people's houses. There, for now, it's forever on the internet, so my great-grandchildren can come back and go, that was your great-grandmother, and that's why you're raised the way you are.
And, like I said, the biggest thing for me, and I'd like to go around in closing because we just have a couple more minutes. The biggest thing for me that I've found that works is to try to view a situation differently. I try to associate more pain with being unhappy because that gives me a reason to be happy. Does that make sense to everybody? So who would like to like share what they do if they find themselves in an unhappy moment? Yes, Eve.
I'll speak up. So jump in the car, turn on the Grateful Dead, drive out into the country, get out into the country, and just let it, let me be soaked into it. And that usually does work. Things that I've been learning since I've come to Unity, A Course in Miracles, and started the spiritual path. Happiness, joy, love, all that is our natural state. And what takes us out of that natural state is deciding with the ego and wanting all these things to fill us up, make us happy. And they don't work until we start getting aware that happiness is within and start reaching within and finding it. And the more I do attempt to meditate, which I still struggle with, I've set up a habit now, like my walking now, I've set up a habit. All these things are things that do make me feel better and help me get in touch with source. And I can have these little affirmations and little sayings that come in. And one of the main ones that I do latch onto is Myrtle Fillmore's saying, "Nothing can disturb the calm peace of my soul." So no matter what's going on the outside, if I can pause for a minute and get in touch with that inner stuff, then I can be happy in the midst of all that chaos. And it's not always easy to do. It's work. Like Stacy said, prior to coming into this path, I was very depressed, on the edge of suicide, and just, always in the dark. And I'm finding that, like, I am one of those people that have seasonal affective disorder. And every year around February, March, it starts getting really bad. And I'm finding that working on getting in touch with self, those outside things that I grab onto that make me sad don't have as much power. And so, like today, I had a little glitch. Something set me off. I started feeling angry. And then, I lose touch with all that happiness stuff. You know, I look outside, I see all the snow and the wet and the cold, and it's like, ew, you know, and I start getting that negative loop going. So it's easier now to, you know, kind of get out of it. But I can't say that it's always that easy, because some days some of the challenges can be pretty hard to fight out of, you know, or find that moment to just get back in touch with the source. And but go, you know, like I said, jump in the car, turn on the dead, drive out into the country, get out in nature. It usually does the trick.
Anyone else?
Nature always works for me, and something I found very recently is being in service to others and not be the fixer.
Oh, girl, high five on the fixer. High five.
I think we can all go high five on the fixer thing, because I think that, you know, a lot of us share that disability per se. But I think part of our responsibility to ourselves in trying to be happy is that sometimes we have to make those hard decisions and recognize that this friend we have always pulls us into a negative space, and maybe they're not really a friend at all. We can't fix it for them, and they have no interest in fixing it themselves, whether it's a friend or whether it's a relative or who it is. We all have those people that try and suck everybody down the black hole with them.
Yep.
And sometimes I think we just have to make that hard decision to say, I don't want to play anymore. And it's hard, and I've had to do that with a couple of people. But, you know, in the long run, I look at it now, years down the line, they're still in the same place that they were when I made that decision. And I'm not. I'm in an entirely different place. And sometimes those kind of hard choices have to be made.
I agree. And that would be a very hard choice. It would be. Anyone else? Okay, so before we close, I will tell you another thing.
I do. I have one. Just eat tacos on Tuesday. They're just really good. And they make you happy. Or laugh.
So I have two
Chocolate.
things that I do. One is when I find myself unhappy, and I can go onto YouTube and watch the same two videos. I don't care how many times I've seen them, and I will laugh so hard. One is a comedian. I think her name is Jean Roberts or Jean Robertson. And she has one on bungee jumping. It's hysterical. Stacy, have you heard it? Oh, you have to watch it.
But we should do that.
And then the other thing, and Mateo, the little kid, but Linda, listen to me, Linda. That one gets me every time. So the other thing that I do is I have set in my phone throughout the day, pray, check your energy level. What magic are you seeing in the day? I have a few things all throughout the day that my reminder will hit me, and it causes me to pause and to look at that. And I've found that helps me a lot. So I don't know. Hopefully we've covered a lot of ground. I think we all agree. And we've had a lot of different perspectives. So hopefully this may help somebody along their journey. And we have to get ready for our Facebook Live. Jack, you've been exceptionally quiet, Jack.
You yelled at me and told me I was being bad, so I thought I'd be quiet.
Oh, I didn't tell you to be quiet. I told you not to misbehave. And don't try to put that on me, Jack. Don't do it. Don't do it, Jack. Don't do it. Not today.
We love you, Jack.
I love you too, Tammy.
So, Jack, do you want to do your job?
Bye, good happy people. My dog
Bye.
needs to pee.
All right. So let's, those of us that are going to the prayer circle, let's jump over. We'll see you there. Good night,
Okay.
everybody.
Good to see everyone. Bye.